Hello. So let's continue the discussion. So this is a continued video now for our lesson number 6. This is our lesson 6.1 in the subject of Special Education 117. And for today's topic is I'll be continuing the discussion of Sternberg. Okay, so we will be continuing his theory on intelligence. So I hope you are still with me. So thank you so much for supporting. Okay, so Sternberg also discusses about the idea of intelligence. And according to him, our level of intelligence, we have triarchic theory of intelligence. So it is influenced by our level of intelligence and the way you understand yourself, our level of intelligence with the people around you, our level of intelligence and your experience. Okay, so Sternberg, the idea of triarchic, because intelligence has three main parts or dimension. We have our contextual part, experiential part, and the componential part. So when you talk about contextual intelligence, meaning our intelligence has its own sociocultural context, meaning the intelligence of a child requires adaptive behavior that is not required of an older person. Meaning, if you are still a child, you have a different level of intelligence. And for older person, their level of intelligence is different from the level of intelligence of a child. Meaning, you cannot tell that the level of intelligence for a child and for an older person is just the same. So that is the idea of contextual intelligence. It depends on the sociocultural context. So you cannot also predict that the student living in a rural area has the same intelligence with those students who are living in an urban area. So they have a different level of intelligence. That's why Sternberg also classify that we have different level of intelligence. That's because of our contextual intelligence influenced by our social cultural context. That is contextual intelligence. The number 2 intelligence, according to Sternberg, is the experiential intelligence. So what is experiential? Meaning, the more you are experienced, the more you have a long level of intelligence, the more you can formulate and combine a lot of ideas because of your experience. So Sternberg also emphasizes the role of experience in your own level of intelligence. In a simple term, according to Sternberg, that the more you get experiences or the more you are using that kind of experiences, it is not only the true indicator of intelligence. It is a way of how you respond to an event that shows how smart or how intelligent you are in dealing with your own environment. Meaning, there are a lot of things that influences our intelligence. It's not all about our experience. The way we respond to our experience is a strong indicator of how intelligent we are as an individual. So how we have experiential intelligence, meaning Sternberg emphasizes the role of our experience in developing our intelligence. He clearly stated that our experience also shows a strong indicator of our level of intelligence. But it's not all about our experience. It's not all about how we deal with our environment. It's a good sign that we are intelligent. According to him, the way you respond to an event or the way you respond to a new experience that is very unexpected, that you are surprised about that kind of event, but you are able to handle it, that shows how smart you are. That is experiential intelligence, meaning the way you respond to unexpected circumstances. That is a strong or a true indicator of your intelligence. And I would agree to him. The way we respond, the way we showcase our own understanding to a certain event, that's a good sign that you have a good experiential intelligence. How about the number 3 intelligence according to Sternberg, the componential intelligence? According to him, he also emphasizes the effectiveness of information processing. Meaning, Sternberg defines component of underlying cognitive mechanism. Okay, so according to According to Sternberg, we have componential intelligence, meaning the way we process information, the way we carry ourselves to a certain situation, our cognitive mechanism, so the way how we handle things, our knowledge, our competencies. That also shows how smart the person is. We talk about componential intelligence. Okay, so there are two kinds of components. When you talk about intelligence, there are two kinds of components, the performance components and the meta components. Meaning, when you talk about performance components, it is your actual performance or actual execution of the task given to you. Okay, while the meta components are the higher order executive processes used in planning, monitoring, and evaluating one's working memory program. So let's try to make it simple. When you talk about componential intelligence, it is the effectiveness of information processing. When you acquire a lot of things, when you are good at developing your own cognitive mechanism, you are good at acquiring a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills that you gain through education and experience. So that is part of your componential intelligence. And there are two kinds of components, the performance components and the meta components. Performance, this is your actual task or the actual execution of the task. Meaning, if your boss is asking you to do this, you have to do it. That is performance components. But when you know how to plan, when you know how to monitor, when you know how to evaluate without depending on the instruction given by your boss, when you do your own thing, it is considered as meta components, meaning it is the higher order executive processes. Meaning, if your boss is not telling, if your boss is asking you to do this, but if you think you have better ways on how to do it, meaning you are using your meta components. You are not dependent on the instruction given to you. You are improving on how we can make things work, on how you can do these things very efficient. So you are also sharing that skills or knowledge that is part of your componential intelligence, meaning it is acquired through experience, it is acquired through education. So Sternberg has identified 6 significant meta components. Okay, we have recognition of what has to be done, selecting performance components, selecting an appropriate mental representation visually or verbally, organizing performance, deciding, monitoring. Okay, so according to him, we have a lot of 6 significant meta components. We know how to plan, we know how to monitor, we know how to evaluate our own performance. And persons who are high in componential intelligence do very well in abstract thinking and are able to process information effectively. So those students who have high meta components, they are very diversified. They are very good in abstract thinking. If you give them instruction, they can do it by themselves. They can improve more. They can do more. They have their own technique on how to do these things better. Okay, so they are very creative. They are very resourceful, and they know how to process information effectively. So they are analytical, critical, and creative. Right? So those are the people with high meta components. So they are very good employee, they are very good employee. You give them a very broad instruction, but they can make that work very fast and very, very simple. So number nine theory on intelligence is Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. So we have multiple intelligence. So our level of intelligence is very broad. So Howard Gardner is a psychologist, and he developed the breakthrough theory of multiple intelligence. Do you believe that we have multiple intelligence? So the multiple intelligence theory advances that in teaching anything, so a teacher, a parent can draw on a child's many intelligence. There are a lot of we have multiple intelligences. We have the linguistic, the logical to mathematical, the bodily kinesthetic, the special, the musical, the interpersonal, the intrapersonal, and naturalist. Meaning we have eight multiple intelligence according to Gardner. No? When you talk about linguistic, we are able to speak very fluent, you are good at explaining things. Logical to mathematical intelligence is you are good, you are an engineer, you are able to understand how the physical world. Or bodily kinesthetic, you are good at performing dance, right, singing. Okay, so special, if you are a very music lover, you are good at building relationship, you are good at understanding yourself, and you love environment, you love nature. Okay, so where do you belong? For me, I belong to linguistic, no. I am more into talking, no, very passionate in talking and sharing my thoughts. So the theory rejects the idea of central intelligence. So this theory reject that we only have the central intelligence, we only have a very common intelligence. Rather, as the author says, it subscribes to each his own learning style. So he rejects that we only have central intelligence. He supported the idea we have multiple intelligence. It's because we have our own learning style. So how we have a lot of techniques on how we do things. So we just need to develop it and where do we think we are good at. So Gardner emphasizes that mental or multiple intelligence is originally not an educational theory. It is a theory on how the mind is organized and developed. Okay, so as opposed to general intelligence, which implies that there is only one computer in the brain that determines whether a person will be competent or incompetent or everything. He described that the mind as having 7, 8, 9, or 7 a dozen different computers. So when you talk about the general intelligence now, it is clearly stated that there is one computer in the brain that organizes our intelligence. But the multiple intelligence states that we have a dozen different computers. So the general intelligence, we have only one computer. The multiple intelligence, we have 7, 8, 9, or a dozen different computers. So some people have better computers than others because of who their parents are, where they live, and how they were trained. Yes, it is true. So let's talk about linguistic. So what is linguistic intelligence? Linguistic meaning the ability to use language to excite, to please, to convince, or to stimulate or convey information. This is linguistic intelligence. If you are good at it, possible, we are on the same page. We have that linguistic intelligence. The number 2 intelligence is the logical to mathematical intelligence. It is the ability to explore patterns, categories, relationship. They know how to manipulate objects. For engineering, for engineers, they are good at this. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence is the ability to use fine and gross motor skills. Right. They are good at performing arts. They are good at crafting. So they fall under the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. We talk about special intelligence, meaning they have the ability to perceive and mentally manipulate a form or object. So they know how to see things. They have their own balance and composition. They have their own perception. So that is a special intelligence. Musical intelligence, they are good at performing music. Interpersonal intelligence, they have the ability to get along with others, the ability to build relationship. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability to gain access or understand one's own feelings, dreams, and ideas. The ability to understand yourself, the ability to be with your own self. The naturalist intelligence, meaning you have the ability to identify and classify patterns in nature. You love nature. You are very concerned about our environment. So you love nature, very concerned about environment. So that is naturalist intelligence. Okay, so according to Silverman studies, giftedness and talent are a complex condition that covers a wide range of human abilities and traits. Yes, it is very complex because it's really hard to clearly define or clearly tell how our intelligence work. So that is why must be clearly understood that giftedness and talent vary, yes, according to social context. Yes, it is varied according to social context. It really depends on the people that you are in, or the physiological structure of the brain. So highly gifted students have IQ score of greater than 145 or 35 to 55 points or even higher than the average IQ scores of 90 to 110. So for the average people, our common IQ scores is 90 to 110. But if you fall for students with giftedness and talent, so possible your IQ score is 145 to 135 to 145 to 155 points or more, meaning you fall under the giftedness and talent. Okay. So Silverman found the following characteristic of among these highly gifted individuals. They have, number one, they have the intense intellectual curiosity, intense, very strong intellectual curiosity. They ask a lot of things. Two, fascination with words and ideas. They are very fascinated with the things that are happening around us. Perfectionism. They do things with high performance. They want to look at perfect. So they are perfectionist. Four, the need for precision. They want to do it fast. The speed, they are very concerned with the speed, how fast you can go. Fifth is learning in great intuitive leaps, meaning they want to use their own intuition and how they learn. They want to express that way. Six is the intense need for mental stimulation, meaning since they are very gifted, you need to give them a lot of mental stimulation, meaning you need to give them tasks, and you also want them to perform because they are craving for a very high performance. When you give them tasks, they are looking for more and more and more. So intense need for mental stimulation. Seven, difficulty conforming to the thinking of others, and sometimes because you are gifted, it's really hard for them to blend in with others because of their mental stimulation. They need more mental stimulation. And number 8 is early moral existential concern. They also question themselves. They have a lot of inquiries about themselves and the tendency toward introversion, meaning they have the tendency to be alone, to work with themselves, because again, they have some difficulty conforming to the thinking of others because they have different, how their mind works is different from the average people, right? They're very fast, and for the average people, we are just going with the flow. But for them, they are very far advanced than to their chronological age. Okay, so there are times when the characteristic of giftedness and talented persons are misinterpreted as bordering on abnormal behavior. They are very aggressive, antisocial, and the like. So Shackley, cited Howard 2003, listed the identifiers of young, gifted, and talented children as follows. So students with giftedness and talent, no, they are often misinterpreted as doing some abnormal behavior. We can't understand them. They are very aggressive. They feel, so we look at them as very antisocial behavior and the like. So these are some of the identifiers of young, gifted, and talented children. Number 1 is they have exceptional learner in the acquisition and retention of knowledge. They are very exceptional, meaning they are more into acquiring a lot of things. That's why we always thought or misinterpreted them as very antisocial, because they acquire a lot of things. It is very exceptional. They also have this kind of exceptional user of knowledge in the application and comprehension, meaning when they acquire new knowledge, they want to apply it to themselves. And number 3 identifier for children with giftedness and talent is they have a exceptional generator of knowledge to individual and creative attributes. They have the exceptional motivation. So they are very eager to learn. They want to apply things that makes them interesting, that makes their mental, that they have a strong need of, in dire need of mental stimulation. So creative ability is considered as a central definition of giftedness. So if you are very creative, if you love exceptional, if you are performing in an exceptional level, so Clark refers to creativity as the highest expression of giftedness. Meaning, when you are very creative, exceptional, very creative, exceptional, it is, according to Clark, it is the highest expression of giftedness. And Sternberg suggests that creativity or insightful individuals are those who make discoveries and devise the inventions that ultimately change society. So there are a lot of pioneers, inventors, scientists now that they are considered giftedness and talent, very talented. So without them, without them, how can you imagine life without those scientists, no, who try to discover light, who try to discover things that we are experiencing now? So we should be thankful for them. Because of their giftedness and talent, we are able to have this kind of life now. So they invent a lot of things. They want to discover a lot of things that can change society. So that is a good thing if you know how to manage your own giftedness and talent. Okay? So there is no accepted definition of creativity. So there is no accepted definition of creativity. So we have the following dimensions of creative behavior. So when you talk about creativity, right, it is the highest expression for being gifted, but there is no accepted definition of creativity. So that sometimes it's very crucial. It's very hard to define or what is creativity. So let's try to get or to use the idea of Guilford. He enumerated the following dimensions of creative behavior. Number one is the fluency, the flexibility, originality, elaboration, synthesizing ability, analyzing ability, ability to recognize or redefine existing ideas, complexity. Meaning, if you have all those dimensions possible, you have that creativity or the highest expression of giftedness. Right? You know how to make adjustment. You want to change existing ideas. You want to make a change from a very complex idea. You turn it into a more simple idea. So possibly you have that dimension of creativity, of creative behavior. So the best way to assess students with giftedness and talent is to do some screening. So we have this. So if when you found out that you have a student who fall with for students with giftedness and talent, now we have to use the pre-referral intervention. So teachers are asked to nominate students who may possess the characteristic of giftedness and talent through the use of a teacher nomination form. We have the multi-factored evaluation. So we need to gather a lot of sources using the following. We need to gather a lot of sources. So it is multi-factored evaluation. The group and individual intelligence test, meaning we need to make sure that they fall under the students for giftedness and talent. We have to let them or take the test so that we would know their IQ levels. We have their performance in the school-based achievement test, the records, the previous grades, awards received, portfolio of a student work, the parent or the peer self-nomination. Meaning, there are students who are gifted and talented. The only thing that they are not being developed, it's because we are not aware that they truly exist. And that's why we have this one, the assessment for giftedness and talented children. Okay, so I really hope that you are learning from these videos. Now I have 2 videos for giftedness and talented. So hopefully you have a short glimpse of how our intelligence is very influential and how we do a lot of things. If ever you have a student with giftedness and talent, hopefully we will develop them. We will use them in a positive way. We were able to understand them. We're able to embrace them because they are also part of our community. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again for my next video vlog. Thank you and God bless you.